Welcome back to the Weekly Walkoff, everybody. It is episode 2, but our first ever episode with the three of us all here. I'm Eric. We got Nate and Greg joining us today. A lot to talk about. The World Baseball Classic has been absolutely insane. We'll get through all of that and make some predictions for the upcoming semifinals and finals. We'll take a look at Greg's fantasy team, talk some fantasy baseball, and a ton of updates on Candy and Sorare MLB this week. Let's get into it. Boys, welcome to the chat.
Thank you. I just gotta say, well done last week. I'm sorry that I was MIA. I was down in Austin, but you guys kicked it off perfectly.
Amazing, man. We're excited to have you here, man. We've been waiting for this upcoming episode. All three of us on board for the very first time. So appreciate that. I'm glad you liked it. We're just getting things rolling here. Baseball season's just about to get to a great start.
Absolutely.
Nate, what's going on? How's the week been?
It's been good, man. Enjoying the World Baseball Classic. Been looking forward to this. Good to have Greg here. One extra set of opinions here, and we should have a good time with it.
Cool. Let's get into some introductions real quick. I want to pull up the World Baseball Classic. I'll flash it on the screen real quick, but then I'll remove it. I think a fun thing to get started today. Maybe we just talk about what our favorite team is, what our favorite baseball moment is, a way to get it started the first time we've been all here, high level stuff. We'll get into that all later on in the show, but let's start it off with Nate, then go to Greg, and then I'll kick it off at the end.
Cool. Yeah. Like you said, my name is Nate, from Massachusetts, and therefore I'm a huge Red Sox fan. Live a little bit outside of the city, but love the Sox, and would have to say my favorite Red Sox moment at this point, at least moment that I've been there for live, was Judge getting thrown out at the plate. It was the last wild card game, right? That was the last season where we had that 1-game playoff. My dad and I were at the game, and 1-game playoff elimination game, Sox Yanks, perfect relay to nab Judge at the plate. It was just that moment to be there. It was something. So
do you own that play of the day? First ever play of the day.
I do own that play of the day. I did.
That was the first play of the day.
First ever, I think, right?
It was in the first set. It was in that first 2021 playoffs Candy play of the day. So I do have that one. And then I've also got the Vasquez 13th or 14th inning walk-off, which my dad and I were at that game as well. Those were the 2 games we went to that playoff run, and a couple treats.
Oh, that was so exciting.
Insane.
I'm gonna corroborate that was the first play of the day, and I guess it would be it had to have been right because it was the wild card game. It was the first playoff game, and that's when they started in 2021.
I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess it would be that.
Oh, that's an incredible game to be at and an incredible play of the day to own. Yeah, I'll go. My name's Greg. You might recognize me from Team Hold. I was the guy that knew nothing about basketball, but still showed up every week. And here I am now within the playground that I know and love, baseball. I'm so excited. So I also casually run This Week in Candy, which is pretty much a Twitter account. We've done a couple shows on Team Hold's YouTube channel. Not as active as I should be, but there's obviously some exciting candy news coming up. So maybe we'll kick that back into gear. Favorite moment? Oh, I should also say I'm also from Massachusetts. Nate and I outweigh Eric here. Sorry, with his Yankees hat. Also from Massachusetts, Sox fan for life. I live out in LA now, and my best moment. I don't know how the stars aligned for this, but I got tickets to Game 5 of the 2018 World Series in LA. Sox Dodgers, enemy territory, but the Sox pulled it off. And I had incredible seats. It just was a fluke where I had it all pre-planned, and then it just happened to land. The clinching game happened to land there. So seeing them win in real life, and then seeing all the iconic Boston fans like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon hugging it out like right in the front row, and Edward Norton was a few rows behind me. Like, it was the most LA surreal yet still classic Red Sox experience. So I don't think anything will top that for me.
Incredible.
That's unbelievable, man. What two incredible experiences. Both of those, I love those. That is insane. Would love to make it to a World Series game. I've never been to a Giants World Series game, actually. And I noticed, yeah, sorry about the Yankees hat, guys. I'm going to make it up to you, I promise. I'm not a Yankees fan or anything like that for you all out there. I'm a Giants fan. Just the all black on all black. I got a brother in New York. So I'm going to be doing some hat purchasing over the next week or so. And I think I got one, a Red Sox one in the cart. So,
oh, all
right. Thanks for sharing those. Yeah. Again, these two guys, This Week in Candy, Talking Candy, both big in the candy community. Go follow them, check those out. But I'll go with my favorite moment in person, since you guys both did in-person events. I was going to say one of the World Series for the Giants World Series, but grew up a Giants fan up in the Bay Area. I was in high school, the Barry Bonds years, right? Barry Bonds, favorite all-time player. Like, I know there's a lot of controversy and a lot of weight to that in the baseball community, but I think, as a Giants fan growing up in the Bay Area at the time that I did, I don't know baseball without Barry Bonds. It's like, the funny thing is, like, kids would have, like, as like a 5-year-old, right? Like, I'd have, kids would have like dolls or GI Joes or whatever. Like, I had like a Barry Bonds bobblehead, and like, that was my dude. But my family and I would go to games a handful of times a year. Like, San Francisco's always been super expensive to go to games. So like, taking a family of 5 out there is insane. But we bought a 4-pack of tickets one year, and the 4-pack of tickets was just like 4 random games throughout the season, right? And the 4th game that we went to, was the Bonds home run record chaser, right? And so I was there for 756 at Pac-Bell. So that was by far, just even thinking about it right now, like, kind of gives me goosebumps, man. Like, we got one of those cheesy pictures with like the Pac-Bell Park border background with like me and my dad and my brother, and it's still hanging up. But yeah, I was at 756. It's just the most electric thing ever. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. What a moment.
Did I hear correctly last week? You are actually going to go in the Bay?
I'm going to go in the Bay. Yeah, I'm going in the Bay this year. It's been on the bucket list. I don't know why I've never done it, but I'm getting in there.
How do you do that logistically? You just rent a boat and then just paddle your way over there and hang?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you rent a kayak and you just jump in the water and
Oh man, that is a bucket list item. Regardless of team alignment,
agreed.
That's incredible. Well, maybe we'll do an episode on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put GoPros. We'll put GoPros on all the boats.
Yeah. What an idea.
What up, Weisberg?
Weisberg's in here. New York. Come on, Eric. And then he was at 65 and 69. Nice. That's awesome. Season ticket holder. Best ballpark in base. Fenway's up there. I will admit. Cool. Let's get into the World Baseball Classic stuff. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Cool. So since we last met last Sunday, a lot of action has gone on. These are the Monday games. Just taking a quick glance at the board, nothing too crazy except for that USA-Canada game. I took some action on that game. I had Kyle Tucker over total bases and Freddie Freeman over total bases, none of which hit. I had, they got off, USA just got off too big of a head start to he wasn't the guy that was clicking that game. I think they ended up pulling him out and putting somebody else in there at that point, but that was a nice win for the US. We'll kind of high step it over, take a look at some of the other crazy games that went on. Mexico barely edged out Great Britain. Guys, feel free to stop me if you want to make comments on this, but I think you know where I'm going here is the PR-DR.
Yeah. I think, just to recap those games, I think it's interesting that we've had 6 total Mercy games, including a perfect game, Mercy rule game.
Yeah.
In the World Baseball Classic. It's interesting. Did you guys think there'd be more or less? Would you have taken the over or the under on 6?
Ooh, that's a good question. I probably would have gone under.
I think I would have gone over. I just didn't know what to expect with some of the lower tier teams. And then we had teams like Great Britain just surprise the hell out of us, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're one of the best storylines of the whole tournament, where the fact that they got a win, the fact that they hung around with the US, and Eric and I talked about that last week, but those teams, going into it without any real knowledge, just kind of assumed they were going to get smacked around, and it didn't happen, at least not to the quantity that I thought it might.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that right here. Great Britain, Mexico was a 2-1 game. I mean, that was a tie game going into the 7th inning.
Yeah, and Mexico's in the Final Four. The only Final Four that matters in March. Mexico is in.
They're looking good too. I mean, Arozarena, just ridiculous. We'll take a look at the stats later. I'm curious to see where Arozarena comes through on like the overall hitting stat leaders for the tournament.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on the mercy rule is that I think I also would have taken the over, but the teams that have pulled it off, I had not expected, like Canada, Australia, Korea, and then Puerto Rico, USA, and Dominican Republic each once. But looking at the schedule, I agree. I would have been like, oh, US will roll these guys.
Exactly.
It'll be 5th inning, they'll be done. But no, it's been exciting.
That came into play. Didn't come into play too much in overall run differential, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know? I know that's like one of the factors in moving forward, but I don't think there were too many 2-2. Maybe the first group right here, the Korea group with Cuba, or am I mistaken on that?
For biggest run differential?
Yeah, no, just for moving forward from pool play.
Oh, yeah, it was the pool where everyone tied, right? They had to pull that stat.
Yeah, so that's why, I mean, like big games like that, like the USA game, like there was a chance they could have still lost against Colombia and gotten in there, but they didn't want any of that. You know, they wanted to obviously win out and, not leave it to statistics.
I think they had to lose by like 13 or something, right? Or something like crazy.
Yeah. Let's pop back into the 2 games on this day: Puerto Rico, Dominican, and then the USA Colombia game, both electric games. Let's start with Puerto Rico, Dominican. I mean, most people had Dominican winning the whole damn thing. What about you guys?
Yeah, definitely. That's who I had going into it.
Yeah, I did a pool and a draft with my friends, and lo and behold, Dominican Republic was the first overall selection. So same. I think the Vegas odds had them as the first. I know I looked at like the DraftKings odds. It was all Dominican.
To not advance. They were in the group of death, so to speak. I mean, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, insanely good tournament. They were playing for Miggy, trying to make it his last run. Poor guys on the Tigers. So
you know what I found interesting, and I keep thinking about in this style of play. It's something that Mark DeRosa said, the USA manager, in one of the interviews about his team, about the US team, how it took like 2 games for them to start clicking and stop trying to just impress each other, because like it's like the biggest stars in the game, and they only ever play together in the All-Star game, and they just want to one up each other in like a fun way, right? But that's not necessarily how you win a baseball game. So I wonder if that was the same for DR. And of course, baseball, there's so many other factors that go into it. But I wonder if DR was like, everyone's out there trying to smack a home run to win a bet or whatever that might be. Could have been a factor.
It could have been. That's a really good point, because with the 4-game pool play, right? Like you have to click pretty quickly. There's, especially in a group like Venezuela, Puerto Rico, it's kind of hard to overcome some early losses in the tournament, and just the pressure just remains on, just like it was in this do or die game. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah, and it's also it's really easy to forget how unique a sport baseball is, right? This isn't football. This isn't basketball. To go 0 for 12 over a 3-game span is not a big deal in the game of baseball until you put it into a format like this. And to do that early season, barely even gotten into spring training yet, all of those factors of pressure, not quite prepared, and then the super small sample size just makes it it's really intriguing to see the guys that do figure it out and the teams that do figure it out.
No doubt.
I should clarify, when I said hit a home run to win a bet, I meant like with their friend in the dugout, not
of course
that they were gambling on games.
Yeah.
Hashtag Pete Rose.
I got that. Nice. So I got a couple of notes here on the Puerto Rico Dominican. I got a couple of notes on USA Colombia, just really brief ones. Then maybe we go into the quarterfinals. But if you guys got anything, the DRPR was Johnny Cueto versus this guy Cruz, who I guess spent most of last year in AAA. Vasquez had the insane home run to get it started, and Lindor also with an RBI. Lindor has just been playing on par. Lindor is my favorite player, probably in all of baseball. I mean, I call him my favorite non-Giant for sure, but him, Acuna, like I've always been a big fan of Francisco Lindor. And then Soto just answered also with that massive home run too, got them on the board. Of course, DR ended up on top, or sorry, Puerto Rico ended up on top. Edwin Diaz got injured. So sad. Anything else jump out at you guys?
Greg?
Was Cueto? I saw the snippet of this game. Was Cueto doing like the Rocky windup?
Yeah,
like that's his signature move, right? Is to kind of mess with the hitters and then sometimes just fire it quick.
He was being Cueto. Yeah, he
love it.
You know, like I got to watch him a lot when he was on the Giants, but he was looking really good at the beginning of the game. It was the top of the third where, you know, they got to him and they got 4 runs. They jumped on him and, you know, didn't really look back. But yeah, he started off looking good. The first inning had a couple strikeouts, I think, and I was just like, all right, this is going to be a good one. But
yeah, I mean, I'd say that this game was this is the game I saw the majority of it. Such a tragedy that the injury had to happen in that celebration. Like this game would have been, and probably will go down in history as one of the most electric and exciting World Baseball Classic games, if not any non-playoff baseball game. And then for that to happen right as they are starting to celebrate and take it all in, such a tragedy. So yeah. Even that article you just had up, it's like incredible shots of Vasquez and Lindor celebrating like you've never seen them, but the headline is Edwin. So
yeah,
it's tough.
We wish him the best luck. I mean, that's going to be in a speedy recovery. I can't wait to see him back out on the mound.
One thing that I would add to that is that for anybody whose take on that Edwin Diaz injury is that these guys shouldn't be playing the World Baseball Classic, you just don't understand what's going on here, right? It was a freak thing. And even if it wasn't, even if it was just part of playing the game, this is Greg's trying to peek out.
So what up, Borland? What up, Borland?
There we go.
This is important for the game of baseball. Not everything is about money. And I understand that money is a big part of it. And I understand that these guys need to look out for themselves. But you can tell that these players care, from the bottom tier teams all the way up to the top. And so it's a shame that happened. It had nothing to do with playing the sport. But the bottom line is that this is good for the game of baseball that needs positive momentum wherever it can find it. And so I didn't know what we were going to get going into this tournament, but what we found out is that it's competitive baseball. It's high octane baseball. The stands are electric. The people watching the game, like just all of it. It's just really good atmosphere. The umpiring could be a little bit better, but overall, it's a good thing that there are guys that are committed to putting the time and effort into being part of this tournament. So anybody whose take is different, I'm not with you.
Oh man, the emotions coming out, man. Like these guys are like me when I was like 12 years old playing Little League, man. Like somebody hits a bomb off you and you're throwing your glove, you're firing your glove into the pitcher's mouth. It's like, I love to see that, man. Yep. It's insane. It's so good.
I love that the John Boy breakdown of that moment. And he's like, he fired his glove so hard in the ground, it just bounced right back, felt like faster than it's ever seen before. No, it's crazy, especially on Twitter. I don't know if it's just my algorithm or what, but like the amount of support piling on to the now few, and I won't name them, but there are a few kind of mouthpieces for like WBC is bad for baseball and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter. And the amount of like people that have come forward, from players to analysts to just baseball fans, is incredible. And with that comes so many stats, like the views on a Twitter video of Shohei's home run is like 4 times as much as the last out in the World Series last year. Like, showing the impact of this thing is astronomical. And because of this discussion, it's coming to the forefront even more, which I love, because I agree with you 100%, Nate.
Amazing, man. Yeah, it's been incredible. The last game on here, USA Colombia, that was a close one. I mean, I think the highlight on that one was Mike Trout, all 3 RBIs, just the captain. coming through big time. Stand-up triple, I think. I mean, Mike Trout is just so much fun to watch. We're just so lucky that we get to see him play baseball. The first time I ever saw Trout in person, he led off the game, opposite field, off the wall, stand-up, or I don't know if it was a stand-up triple off the right field wall, first pitch of the game or something like that. If it wasn't the first, it was the second. I'm like, dude, this guy.
I had my first opportunity to see both Trout and Ohtani live at a game last year, and it was a rainy game, so all the expensive seats down front were pretty open. So had the opportunity to go sit 5 rows behind home plate, and just to see the stature of these guys and the power in their swing, it's so much more impressive when you're that up close to it. And yeah, to be able to see Trout playing in these games that, technically don't matter, but that matter, right? To see him in that environment and to step up in that Columbia game. And when he hit the 2 RBIs, the go ahead, to make it 3-2, you figure, okay, the US is going to run away with it. And then they didn't. And that was the difference. So it's been fun to watch him play. He looks pretty locked in.
Oh, it's so locked in.
Playoff Trout. It's that's the other narrative here is we've never seen playoff Trout, and to see him so hyped, not to jump ahead, but so hyped for Trey's home run and his own RBIs.
So good.
Oh, man. This man needs to be in the playoffs this year, man. I'm like, come on, Angels, get it done. Get it done. First quarterfinal game, Italy, Japan. Japan 9-3. No surprises there. Ohtani on the mound. Clocked 102 on the mound. Are you serious?
Fastest that he's ever thrown, right? He's never clocked 102 in the MLB, I don't believe.
No, that's insane. We'll tease this a little bit in the predictions next year, but I mean next week, and maybe not give me your answers, but I'm curious to think if any of you guys I've been listening to these baseball podcasts, talking baseball, just baseball, whatever. They're going over their MVP and Cy Young picks. Can Shohei with a low amount of innings win the Cy Young and the MVP? Probably. Is there voters remorse on something like that? Do they like to spread the love? We'll get into that later on, but that's an interesting topic.
As someone who was raised on Tom Brady, it's a bad move to bet against the best player in a given sport.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. I'm a Brady guy too. I love Brady. All right. Another electric one, the next quarterfinal, Puerto Rico, Mexico.
Unreal game.
Unreal of a game, right? Back and forth, lead changes. It was just something.
The first inning was just insane. It's Puerto Rico, the whole storyline with Diaz, they come out first inning, they get a sac fly, which would have been enough to set the tone 1-0. And then 0-2 mistake pitch, Baez just hits a no-doubter. And then Rosario back-to-back on the next pitch. 4-0, you're like, okay, Puerto Rico is going to run away with this tournament. And then sure enough, the Mexico had other plans. But great game, great baseball game, front to back.
Yeah, let's pop in real quick. I see an interesting comment right here. I'm going to show this one. Injuries are a part of the game, but why not play the World Baseball Classic after the season? The players would still be in peak form and the quality of play would match the passion of the fans. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Interesting.
Up,
yeah.
I'm all for it. Hud's dog. That's a nice comment.
I think that one argument against it would be that, our players at peak performance, some of them are, but 162 is pretty grueling. So I think that you might have a lot of guys. Now, I don't know, not a professional baseball player, but it's got to be 2 different thought processes. One is I just got to the end of this marathon and now I got to go play more competitive baseball versus WBC right now is kind of baked into a time period where they need to be getting ramped up anyway.
Sure.
So it feels like an extension of spring training. But yeah, it's a good point. I could see an argument for both.
I like that. I wonder what the players think on that. That is, that's something that they should be directly involved with. If they want to play, they should be able to decide when, more or less. I just pulled up right here. You guys keep on going for it. I just pulled up the game score of 4-5, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Lindor was big in this game. You mentioned Javi Baez's home run. They went back-to-back in the first inning. What else happened in that game? Yeah, Paredes had a game. Urias had the go-ahead RBI. Javi Baez did he hit 2? No, I think he just hit 1.
Just 1, yeah. And then the
But-
other kind of little storyline there was that the 7th inning, the loss ultimately goes to Diaz, right? So Edwin's brother. And that one just hurt. Like, it stung to see him out there. He's got a whole lot of emotion going through his whole process, and for him to be the one on the mound when that all fell apart, I hated to see that.
That's tough. That's definitely tough. Hopefully he bounces back. I mean, it's Cincinnati, kind of rough, but I'm hoping for a good season for him. I think he's got electric stuff too. So hopefully we get him back, in higher spirits. What else? Anything else there? Because we got USA Venezuela next, and that one is just
here. It is.
Greg's got something teed up. You want to just start off with it?
Oh yeah. Oh, I have a lot teed up. I mean, first of all, I think we got to just acknowledge the moment of the game, which I watched on Twitter 600 times last night.
Absolutely.
Was Trey Turner's grand slam, go ahead grand slam. So I got to pull up a photo that we were just alluding to with Mike Trout. Let's see if
here we
works.
go. I got
Did
you.
that work?
Right here. Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I mean, look at this. I think if there's photos from every angle, but look at all of these players across teams. Look at Trout. Trout alone. Can I even zoom? Yes.
Yeah, Trout and Mookie right there.
Look at this. And it's like Mookie saluting Trout.
Such a great shot.
Schwarber, JT in the front. This dude trying to get up over the crowd. Will Smith looking a little confused. Alonso, like you got everybody. Man. You got Wainwright. Oops, sorry. You got Wainwright in the back. It's just this. If I could frame this, I bet Trey will have this framed.
Oh,
it's just fantastic. So,
no doubter too. Second deck.
I know, absolutely incredible. And then I got to play.
That shot just kind of captures baseball, doesn't it? Like I think to your casual fan, you look at them as individual players, and it's such a 1v1 situation in baseball, right? One guy throws a pitch, one guy hits the ball, one guy fields the ball, but you're playing for the other guys in the dugout, and just seeing that emotion in that shot, it's unreal. Unreal.
This was tweeted by Trey himself. I mean, imagine this moment.
Go.
Looking like Zed out there.
Oh my goodness. That is something else, man. Like I watched a lot about how this team kind of came together, and Trey was definitely like one of the first dudes that they wanted on the team to be, their guy, like Mark DeRosa. I know you probably listened to Nate, the Rose rotation on this one. Greg, I'm not sure if you listened to that one too, but like just Mark DeRosa on there talking about how the team was formed. Like I know Trey was a big part of that. And I think another guy that he mentioned was Arenado, who's just been having an incredible tournament too. So just fun to see the team kind of clicking at the right time, man, and just really fusing. I think we talked about this offline before, but I think it's ours to lose, man. We got a big game today. Wainwright scares me a little bit, to be honest with you. But, I think USA Japan is what the people want. It's what the people see.
I agree. The last thing I got to play, tell me that you get audio of this. I hope you can hear it. Can you hear it?
Yeah. He calls this one.
Just Avengers theme, baby.
Yes.
Anyway, hits me right in the feels. In the feels. Avengers theme over the Turner home run. I'm sorry, I probably just demonetized this stream from my own company, but man, whoever did that, you knew how to hit me. That is fantastic.
Amazing, dude. I was wondering if you did that yourself.
Oh no. I wish I thought of it. It's so good.
Next time, I feel like that'll be a reoccurring thing. After that's done once, you can't stop with that. It's gonna be the season of the Avengers.
100%.
Nice. Yeah, insane. I mean, like what talking points do we have on it? I mean, it was Martin Perez versus Merrill Kelly. Was that the starting? Trout and Tucker had huge games. Arenado had a huge game. On the other side, Arias, 2 homers in 1 game for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. Is he like that this year? Are we drafting him on fan?
He's so spoiler alert for our next segment. I think he went undrafted in my league, which is bananas to me. And I guess he's a first baseman, so that position gets stacked pretty soon, but pretty wild. And I might go pick him up after this.
He doesn't have second base eligibility?
He'll have positional utility in ESPN leagues for sure.
Let me check here. Yeah, he went undrafted. That's insane. Well, if he has second base, I hope no one in my league is watching because I'm going to scoop him. But I love him. He's on Miami this year, right? The trade for Pablo Lopez.
Yep.
I think he's going to crush with the shift being removed. This is just a preview.
It was cool to see him play so well this tournament, man. Like, hats off to Venezuela. Salvador Perez in there. Peralta had a great tourney. I mean, like, Acuna had that go-ahead sac fly. Like, that was almost a home run. Like, he's just like, I think did he have a triple where I just saw him just like going into third base or second base, like full speed
double in the eighth, and then he stole third. Thought he might be the catalyst to bring it back after the Trey slam, but yeah, I hope we get full 100% Acuna this season.
Oh my goodness, me too, man. He's just so electric. Bard looked terrible. Other notes I have: Bard looked terrible. Obviously, Trey Turner, and then Devin Williams and Presley just shut it down. Like, they looked great out there. I think even though I do have concerns about Waino on the mound tonight, like, the bullpen is pretty deep. So if we get into some hot water, hopefully he gets a good start. But Borland's got another comment right here. Arias is one of the sleepers on the Sorare front. Yeah, nice. Yeah,
absolutely. I think he's gonna. I mean, I have been scooping him on Candy just for these challenges. Just he won the batting title last year, and he's only he's 24. Like, I don't know.
Aaron's Twins fan, huh?
Yeah,
nice.
Minnesota,
love it. Yeah,
Minnesota, Borland.
I'm excited for the Twins this year too. They talk. I mean, I've heard a lot about that trade and how, like, the Twins just did a really good job. I mean, he will be missed, but they have so much, going on in the infield that, getting Pablo is just a solid move. So, what else do we got, guys? I think wrapping it up on the World Baseball Classic, it is, about 32 minutes into the stream here. The two semifinals are Cuba, USA, which will be on in 30 minutes. And then Japan, Mexico, which that is going to be a dogfight. Either one of those games, if it's a USA, Mexico rematch or USA, Japan, is going to be great. I want to see USA, Japan. But what do you guys think?
Versus Shohei. Like, it gets no better than that.
Nope.
It gets no better than that. I will say I did pick Cuba drafted Cuba in my pool, so it'd be fine if they won, but I feel like USA has just got that momentum.
Yeah. Trout versus Shohei. That's great, man. Yeah. Another cool one, like we didn't mention, but Luis Garcia, Kyle Tucker. That was a fun thing to watch. Took him deep. Tucker's on fire.
Yep. Tucker's one of my guys for Sorare this year. He's not priced along with those other top 10, top 15 players, and the amount of possibility in terms of the different categories he can hit in the Sorare format. He just looks like a guy to me. So I picked one of him up.
Let's transition it into Greg's draft, but I think that's perfect because Kyle Tucker is a guy that I will be. I mean, and feel free to cap it off with the World Baseball Classic stuff you guys want. We'll talk about it more next week, but like Kyle Tucker is a guy that I will probably draft early, depending on how high I am in the draft. If I'm kind of towards the end rounds, like, I may be picking him up. I think contract year, this dude is the truth, man. Like, one guy that I would love to have in San Francisco would be Kyle Tucker, man. I think if we're going to spend some money and we can't get Shohei, which I don't think we are, like, I would love to pay a guy like that. So let me see. Let's pull this thing up.
Yeah, it's a perfect transition. And so I should caveat, this is my fantasy. I had my fantasy draft yesterday. My league is head to head. It's 10 teams.
Points or categories?
Points.
Head-to-head points. Nice.
Head-to-head points. We I tried to do this is like a 14-year league, and I tried to do keepers last year. I tried to instill keepers, and let's check this lineup out. I had Acuna, Tucker, and Trey Turner last year.
Oof.
And so I was hyped because I was like, I get to keep at least 2 of these guys. I'm good. And they did away with keepers because no one could figure it out. So yesterday was my draft, and I'll take you through how it went. You guys, truly, I went in pretty cold. So be harsh if you think I missed someone. I had 7th pick, and it's snake draft. So here we go. So Soto, Judge, Ramirez, Betts, Machado, and Arenado went before I had a chance to pick, but Acuna was still there. So
at 7, I like it.
At 7, he like overall ADP, he was 1. So I was like, I have to. And I do what I did learn yesterday is outfield depth is not that great this year in fantasy. So
yep.
It was important for me to grab an outfielder early.
Love that. No Julio so far.
No Julio, yeah. And that was on the table, but I went with Acuna.
Arenado's an interesting one in those first 7 picks to me, but I mean,
I agree. And I will say for everyone about to draft, the third base category is very weak, very, very shallow. And you'll see my dilemma in a bit. But Mike Trout barely making the first round with 10. Devers, Julio finally went in the top of the second round, DeGrom, and then I got Turner. Turner fell back to me.
That's
nice.
Absolute steal in round 2. I will say the only tricky thing for me was like the shortstop category, and I think Trey's at the top of it, but the shortstop position is so deep, so deep. There were dudes in like round 16. I was like, I'd be fine rolling him out.
Yeah. Turner probably a little bit more valuable in categories just because he's gonna like carry you in steals, whereas steals is just another way to get points in this format, but still stud across the board.
And also you can see it was an absolute no-brainer. Took me 22 seconds as opposed to these slow pokes. Anyway, I'll only do a couple rounds. I won't take you through the whole draft, but as we went down, got to round 3, look who is still there, baby. Kyle Tucker.
Wow.
So I've reassembled the Avengers back on the team. Again, this pick was he was also in the top 10 ADP, and the fact that this hit round 3, I was like, I feel like I have to. The other option would have been a pitcher. Shohei was still on the table, so that was a hard decision, but I can't figure out how to work with him in fantasy. Like that was my only holdup. I think if I was more confident about that, I would have grabbed him in round 2, but
that's interesting. It really is dependent on what your format is. Like I'm a head-to-head, also a head-to-head league, but 5x5 categories. So
yeah.
I mean, like I'm seeing like Jordan go right before you took
Jordan
Kyle
right
Tucker
before.
right there, and like he'll be a top 10 pick probably.
Totally. And
yeah,
his DH classification, I don't know if he has other positional categories. I should have looked before I opted not to draft him, but that's that's my utility spot for the entire season, if not. So that's why it felt strong to go with Tucker. I won't bore you with every round, but I'll show you my team. I had to grab a pitcher. Nola was the best available. I don't love it, but here we are. Grab Matt Olson in round 5. Nice. Castillo in 6. Jazz is my second baseman. I missed Ozzie Albies and Jazz went back to back. I missed him by 1 slot in the 7th round. Picked up Varsho because of that catcher eligibility. So he can hit the outfield or catcher, and then completed my my outfield with Teoscar. O'Neal Cruz, it's my second shortstop, but I didn't want to go a season without like getting something out of him because he's going to be so much fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Cruz, Green, Kirby is a fun run of young studs right there.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then Severino, Morton, who I don't love, Joe Ryan, who's hopefully a young stud. Look at this. I got Correa in round 16.
Oof. I like Correa.
Which, again, 3 shortstop is not the smartest roster, but I could not pass that up.
Yeah.
But you'll see, and then
Jose Miranda, MJ Melendez.
At this point, I was driving to dinner. My wife was driving to dinner, so I was just doing it on my phone and just was like, "Oh, I'll take Whitlock." But yeah, so that's the squad. I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about it, more so than I usually do at the start of the season, and then I always come in 5th. But
I like your pitchers. I know you said that was a pain point, but as far as, I mean, you chose to go 3 big bats to start, so then you got to go value. And Nola and Castillo are guys that just aren't getting the same street cred as the other guys, but they're right up there. So I like those guys anchoring you there. I think it was good plays, and Olsen's a great grab there too.
That lineup that roster looks tough, man. Way to go, Greg. I mean, like, dude, yeah, I'm looking up and down this lineup. I mean,
I'll give it to
I don't know.
like
What's the in a points league? What's the starting like lineup? You know, like how many guys are you starting?
This is basically what we're given. So it's
okay, cool.
It's the entire field and then a utility or a DH, I guess.
Oh wow, okay, got it.
Which I could easily throw Correa in there and feel good.
Oh, wow, 3 outfielders, crazy.
Yeah,
interesting, huh?
And then I stacked pitchers. I mean, I'll probably have to drop Whitlock. But if he gets starts, then getting starts out of that reliever slot is pretty valuable. Mm-hmm. So
nice.
That's the squad.
I like it.
Squad for the season.
I like it. Yeah. Again, I guess I'll just kind of transition it now into next week's episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching it live in the chats right now, next week we'll be doing our predictions for the MLB season. So that'll be the week before opening day. We'll do our division winners, our pennant winners, our World Series winners, Rookie of the Year, MVPs, and Cy Youngs. So if you guys want anything else, throw it in the chats. If Nate and Greg, you want to talk anything else, then we can dial that in. We're also going to be doing a draft where each of us picks 10 teams to follow throughout the season, and we'll dial in the scoring on that. We're going to have you guys choose one of us to ride with. So that should be a lot of fun too. So like maybe we'll get into some sports, betting and player props and picks and stuff like that as it goes. But I'll probably come with a couple of my really interesting and intriguing season-long props next episode too. One of them, because you drafted O'Neal Cruz, that was one of the one that jumped out at me. I mentioned this on the last episode to Nate, but he is over or under 1.5 multi-home run games this season. I'm taking the over for sure. Like that just seems too easy for me. It seems like a gimme. So
absolutely.
All right. Should we talk some candy?
Let's do it.
Big Nate.
So big update this week, which we talked about last week was going to happen. And I don't know, do we want to pull up do you want to show the blog, or you want to just talk through it?
Yeah, rock it. Yeah, bring up the blog. We can talk through it. I can toggle in and out of the screen too.
All right, let me pull this up here. All right, just kick that over to you there. So, few big things here. Got this scouting report with basically the 2023 plans for Candy. And what it kind of gets summarized down to is that we've got a whole lot more engagement planned, which they're calling campaigns. We've got an entirely new drop structure with packs, completely getting rid of the leadoff series, which is a huge headline and a smart move, in my opinion. So we'll dive into that a little bit more, and really looking forward to getting your takes on this too, Greg. But so there's the campaigns, the new drop structure. We do have the jersey burn starting tomorrow. That's going to run for 5 days this week. And then the play of the day has also been shifted to a new, much improved, in my opinion, format. Not that it was bad. It was already a really cool product. But the new play of the week format is going to be pack format, multiple plays, and rarity tiers, which none of that existed last year. And I just think that it's a really cool update. So
I love the rarity tiers of it all. And I loved play of the day too. Like that to me is more appealing to a baseball fan who's discovering this platform. But the format that they had it in was effective if they had 50,000 users, right? Like open edition, come as you please. This makes so much more sense. This is the way to go. The rarity tiers, as you said, that's going to be so exciting, and just make it fun and make people want to buy more. So, yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody that's not familiar, last year, each day, Candy / the MLB would pick the best play from the day before. It was open mint the following day, and you had from noon to midnight or something like that to mint it for $15, and you got that one play. You had a lottery at the cereal that you were going to get. Well, they shifted to that. At first, it was first come, first serve in terms of cereals, but now it's going to be 2 moments for $20 with rarity, different rarities. So the better the play, higher rarity, we have to imagine, and that pack structure. So I'm excited about it. I think that it's really going to inject some new life into the excitement around that product, which is already just a really high quality product, and can't wait to see the new design on that. And then
they mentioned too historical highlights, right? They're gonna
yeah, good call. Actually, I'll pull that up. If you want to kick it back over. So historical monthly packs are gonna, like you just said, celebrate and own iconic plays from the likes of Ken Griffey Jr., Johnny Bench, Tom Seaver, Aaron Judge, Ohtani, Trout, and more. So they're going to focus on today's stars and yesterday's stars and kind of tap into what makes Candy so cool, which is that they've got access to all these video files from all the different eras of baseball. So exciting there. And then also just pointing, they made a point to highlight the fact that the different milestone marks. So last year they were tracking Judge, they were tracking Pujols, stuff like that. But they're really going to differentiate that as its own thing. They're not going to worry about lumping it into the play of the week, but be able to take those big things that happen throughout the year, whether they're no hitters, first career hits, all the way up to big milestones, and turn those into moments as well. And then the campaign reward packs, which we can jump into campaigns next, are going to be players of the week and players of the month, unique NFTs. They're going to be used as rewards for campaigns, which is a good segue into the campaign section, which the first one will be starting on March 30th, which is opening day. They're going to run 1 month at a time. And basically this is a way to start to engage with your collection much more. So collection challenges are going to range daily, weekly, monthly. Code breakers are going to be trivia based, and campaign score and rewards are going to be that accumulation. So the excitement here with the collection challenges is going to be the focus on the old product, right? So, or the prior product. And I don't know, they had did you listen to the Twitter Spaces, Greg?
I did. Yeah.
So they talked about all the different possibilities there. They're going to put focus on full sets. They're going to put focus on players. They're going to put focus on teams. So I think you're going to hit a whole lot of different tiers of collectors, different volume, but the focus on this stuff seems to be the people that have been here for the last year. I don't know if you had any thoughts on it.
Totally. Yeah. Awesome. I think the collection challenges is cool. I come in, and also shout out to Ace who just joined us in the chat.
Shout out to Ace. We got his comments popping up here.
Yeah, but look at the next one. Look at the next one. That's right, baby. We're still into candy. Anyway, the comp to all of the collection challenges to me is Top Shot, which Top Shot has innovated on, and say what you will about the state of things. At least it's an effective engagement model. These challenges where you're either chasing what happened in the NBA or doing a predictive challenge, right? So that we all have a framework for that. Candy Code Breakers is something that I don't think exists anywhere else, and it's going to be brand new. And what I thought was interesting on the Twitter Spaces is that they mentioned that Candy Code Breakers is specific to the core rarity tier, which are the most common of the common, the highest mint counts, all that. But the quote that they said was that it's going to be a Wordle style trivia game using cores as game pieces. So like, I can't even fathom. I mean, if you imagine everyone's played Wordle, like that format, popping players into those slots, like based on probably name the top 5 batting average leaders in the AL last season, right? And you have to drop your little cores in there. That's all I can fathom. Mm-hmm. But I mean, great. It's engagement, right? They also mentioned, team icons. They mentioned that this will be a big element of Candy Code Breakers. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to use. Hopefully, you can use 2022 leadoff cores because I have thousands of them. But otherwise, they'll be aligned to these team icons that come in April.
Yeah, that's it'll be interesting to see. You're gonna Right. There's this constant give and take between prioritizing the people who have been here for the last year and a half versus the fact that none of that matters if we don't get new users. So we have to do both. And so some of these things are clearly geared towards the people that have been here, and some of these things are geared towards the people that are just showing up. And so to your point, it would be great if all these icons we've been collecting from the very heavily saturated 2022 leadoff series would be playable in this. But at the same time, if they're going to put a heavy focus on that with the collection challenges, you could see a scenario similar to Sorare, which we're going to touch on here, where maybe these team icon cores are the only way to do those things. And that's how you drive new engagement. That's going to be the thing that people that are just showing up are not behind the ball on. And I also think it's going to be really interesting to see how they implement the team packs, these team icons, which we're getting into the drop structure at this point. But like you said, April. So the first drop is Showstoppers, and we'll come back to that in a second. But in terms of what was the leadoff series, it seems to me that the replacement for that is that in June, we're going to get what they're calling Series 1 icons, which is Candy's 2023 base set. There's going to be 100 players there. And then Series 2 is going to be an additional 100 players in September. So it's 200 players total as opposed to 640 players in last year's leadoff series. And then the question becomes, do these team icons that are cores, do these get baked into that? Are those the cores of that set? Does it expand the player pool beyond 200 total? Will Series 1 and Series 2 cards end up being usable in code breakers? We don't know any of these answers yet, but I think that those sets have the potential to work nicely together.
That's a really good thought. I haven't actually done this math, but if like looking at this drop schedule, so we know Showstoppers is what, 43 players?
Yep.
And then what comes after that?
43 players, $43.
43 players. Okay. And then rookie icons, that's 40. So there probably wouldn't be overlap there. So 83. Then you get the next 100. So 183. All-Stars will have probably primarily repeat players, right? So we won't count that. The Hall of Fame, we don't count. Another 100. So that if they aren't overlapping, that's what, 283?
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think rookies or Showstoppers, I think they're going to be their own thing.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think that those are going to get lumped into that.
Yeah. But my point is, it's just like a clever way to get us, a solid amount of the league, which we'll need to make these challenges work, right? When someone, a second year no name on the Rockies is leading home runs for the week, this will allow you to cleverly get more players out there for the season, but not drop, 600 icons.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think one of the things that I've always liked about Candy is that they've really been thoughtful and like realistic about their growth, right? Like they haven't gone too crazy yet with any of the mint counts or anything. They course corrected really quickly with the leadoff icon set, and I think really salvaged a cool set with the Titans, which is something that I actually really like to collect. I'm still a big Titan guy. A lot of those were debut moment type of things for some of the best players in the game that didn't have the 2021 icon, all-star icon. So they've been thoughtful. I think they've been realistic about their growth. I think that's going to continue. And I think, when it comes to comments like, people are still into Candy and, that kind of stuff. Like, I think that they've put themselves in a pretty good position to do exactly what Nate was talking about, where it's like, they are going to be able to do some really cool things this year where they balance rewarding people who have been here for a while and then also can tailor some stuff to new growth. I like the full season outline. I think it's cool too. Having a full roadmap throughout the season, like knowing what you're getting into, as brief as it is something that's going to be super helpful for us collectors. I don't know if you guys agree, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a great season.
Definitely. It just helps instill the confidence that they at least have a plan with actual numbers in place and min counts in place. So, and then, if they have to increase that, it's because we have more demand and more users, and that's a good thing for everybody. And the last thing I'll say on Candy, which they said in the spaces, which was exciting, is the tickets, the ticket program, commemorative tickets or redeeming tickets. They like casually mentioned that over 3 weeks in the postseason, they added 50,000 accounts of people redeeming that physical ticket from playoff games, which that seems like the answer. And it, it's not going to all happen at once, but that seems like a good trend for getting more users on the platform, even if you're only converting 1% of those into actually buying an icon or a play of the day or whatever. Still, that's a incentive, a real world incentive to join the platform. And that's something that I think a lot of these other ones lack.
Yeah, it almost seems like something like that, right? Like can really be like a catalyst into like brand recognition this upcoming season. I think they had candy plastered all over the place at, like at Oracle Park, right? But I don't know how many people who actually sat their butts in those seats knew what the hell that was, or had any brand recognition of it yet. But like if it's one thing that leads to another, hopefully they start pouring a little bit of gasoline on marketing, and that leads to slow growth and a really good product, which we know they're already working on. So could be really cool.
Yeah, I'll just cap it off by agreeing with what Greg said, which is that I feel like we are, for the first time, getting some very well thought out announcements with a much clearer vision for what the game plan is and what things need to be adjusted for going forward. Last year was super reactive. It was something would go wrong, they'd make an adjustment, something would go right, we'd enjoy it, something would go wrong, make an adjustment. So to have this map, to have this roadmap that we actually feel like this is going to happen is a really good step in the right direction. There's a lot you can say about Candy last year, but if they improve on the process and put their best foot forward with something that's going to appeal to new collectors and old, that's all we can really look for. And then we'll see if they execute on it or not. But I think that with this first drop being completely geared towards scarcity, rarity, something that started with the 2021 stuff, this is geared towards new collectors. And hopefully we see prices that are what we want to see in the marketplace because of it.
Absolutely. Look at Ace's last comment.
There we go. Let's pull it up.
That's the dream. That's the future. We know that's the future regardless. Like there will be a hub for all your commemorative tickets, ticket stubs, whether it's a Taylor Swift concert or a Orioles game. And so we just got to hope Candy can pull it together and be one of the leaders in that, knowing that like Ticketmaster and everyone else is thinking the same thing.
How cool would that have been to have that throughout your entire life? Like all of the tickets, like I probably have tens of 20s of tickets, like randomly shoved into books that I used as bookmarks, right? Or like in a box somewhere, but like to have it all in one place. What a great point by Ace right there.
Imagine doing that retroactively. I feel like it's not impossible.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Scan your ticket in, Candy turns it into an NFT. That'd be pretty cool.
My wife would love it if I got rid of this stack of like print out tickets. But like, yeah, if they can certify that it's a true ticket and not a duplicate, and from that seat, and there's possibility there. That's incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the first set. I'll be lining up for this pack for the first time in a while. Like I'm not a big, just spend money on a random pack type of guy, but I love small sets too. So, maybe this is the year that I go after a full set. I considered the idea with the Titan icons last year, and just 200 Titan icons is just going to be too much, like too much stuff that I don't want, that I'm not excited about. So when a completely different route, we'll get into our like own personal collection strategies as the show kind of develops. But I think it's going to be a great season. Anything to kind of cap it off prior to moving into So Rare here?
Well, I think that what you just said is an interesting cap off there, which is that this first Showstoppers drop does not have, it doesn't have a collection challenge. It doesn't have a chaser. Like it's just meant to be high rarity, high scarcity. It's just supposed to be a good set on its own, collectible, and that's it. And that is at the core of Candy's mission. So we'll see what this year looks like.
I'm excited. And we have to stop because I feel like we could talk about Candy for 4 hours. Yep. I'm raring to go, but we're
we'll be back.
Greg, you're gonna have to come on talking Candy, and we'll do that
anytime.
For an hour. Yeah,
anytime.
Let's go. All right, should we talk some So Rare?
Let's do it.
So Rare also had a nice sweet little week with updates. Season 2 info finally dropped, and we're gonna have more info on this. So we'll go over high level with this stuff. If anybody in the chats is interested in, has any questions about Sorare, feel free to throw them in there. But we got a lot coming up. There's a Spaces, Sorare Spaces. I think on Tuesday. I set my reminder for it. Don't remember off the top of the head. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern, one of the days early on in this week. But tomorrow is when the season officially starts. So Monday, March 20th, that's when the launch day is for the new card auctions. For those of you who aren't familiar with new card auctions, those are the current season cards, right? They get a 5% bonus for being in current season. Prices might be a little bit higher than what's on the market right now. They're going to give you a little bit of boost in your score. The rarities are the same as last year. But again, when it comes to rarity, one of the cool things that I think about when I think about Sorare is that they have such a pulse on the market. Like prices go down in cards, yes, as the season goes on, because people are going to look to, sell and get liquid and buy new things and move their money elsewhere. But with the AMA that they had in the Reddit, it kind of talked about how they keep a pulse on some of that. So if you want to read that on your own, go ahead and do that. But there's certain cards out there, like high level stuff. Like they don't really mint players who are either injured or not playing. Like they really only release them as rewards or on auction if they're actively playing, right? And that just makes
I noticed that there was no Jazz last year.
0 Jazz last year. Like I was looking, and I think Ace might have been the listing on this, but I was looking at Chris Bryant yesterday, his rare tier card, only 22 of them, right? So like out of a tier where there could be 1,000 available, only 22 were put into the marketplace last year of Chris Bryant. So I really like how they kind of have their pulse on it and keep things stable over there. I'm sure the card art is going to look nice. There's a bunch of new competitions coming out. NL only, AL only. It gave me an excuse to go out there and build a deeper gallery, just start buying a bunch of stuff for $1, putting in offers, landed a couple offers and continuing to just like have a deeper gallery so that I can get into more of the competitions. Like I think my main focus this year is going to be on like Rare Pro and Rare All-Star. Really going to try to like by the end of the season, earn enough where I can start playing competitively in the super rare space. So I'm like super excited about that. But, I think one of the cool things about Sorare too is that the way that they engage new users is amazing. I'll just kind of talk about it right here. But last year, Sorare started July 23rd. So not even like a half of a season of baseball. And the onboarding experience like wasn't quite as good as they had it dialed in for the NBA. They announced just in this blog that all of the common cards are going to be basically expired or null and void going into this next season. And they're doing a draft style format where you get in and basically use a cap like they do on their football product, right? Or like a DraftKings or whatever, so that you can draft your own team, put in a starting lineup and have 15 cards max. So it keeps it fresh. It keeps it competitive. It keeps everybody on the same page, whether they start off with Sorare MLB on day one or they're coming into it at the All-Star break. Super cool. I mean, like you have chances to craft your common collection and get more competitive because once you win something, you can trade it out and kind of refresh, craft that roster the way that you want it to. But the gameplay, I think, is something that you guys will notice both being new. The gameplay is what really makes this thing dynamic. I mean, it's a perfect blend, in my opinion, of daily fantasy and regular season-long fantasy or week-long fantasy. The game weeks are either 3 days or 4 days. Then you have a new and fresh chance to put in a roster there. You still want to have people long-term in your collection that you can put in and use for utility, but it is all utility. It's completely different than something like Candy. And it's a great game. So I have gone on at this point, but I know if you guys have anything as players who are new to Sorare, feel free to kind of jump in and let us know what you're excited about here. Ace had a question here. Are the Sorare MLB cards good for more than 1 year? Absolutely. The limited rare super rare, anything that's paid is good for more than 1 year. It's good for as long as that player is still playing in the MLB, you're able to play that card. They get a season in-season bonus. So if you're buying a player that is in the current season, you're using that card. There's a 5% bonus to their score. But yeah, as soon as you buy a card, it's a long-term play for forever. So if you buy a season 1 of Shohei, you can use him for the next 10 years if you wanted to. So on the commons, it's not. That's where they refreshed everything. Commons start from scratch. Everyone's on the same page. So it's fun.
Yeah, the free contests were the thing that jumped out at me as someone, like you said, Greg and I are brand new coming into this. And I've just over the last few weeks started observing the market and taking note of where those different player prices are with the limited tier. But with those common cards being limited to a collection of 15 commons is a really cool play. Like you said, it evens the playing field. It also really simulates what fantasy baseball is like, right? That's, kind of double the roster spots, maybe not even. And that's what fantasy baseball is like. You can't just hold the entire free agent pool. You have to pick your spots. And so I like the way that is done. Could it be 18? Could it be 20? Sure, but it doesn't really matter. But then on the other side, with the limited cards, the majors division really jumped out at me as a decision point. As someone that has never entered a limited contest before, you have the option to play a majors contest and get a 40% boost with your limited cards. And so those contests you can enter with commons or limiteds. And obviously I've been buying limiteds this offseason because that's the only thing you can buy. And so the question becomes, do I enter limited contests, which, will theoretically have better prizes, or is that 40% boost in that majors division going to be worth dabbling in for a little bit? And I think that's where I'll start, because once you go back, you can't, once you go forward into the paid contests, the limited contests, you don't have the option to come back. But I'm intrigued by this. It'll be interesting to see what the rewards look like. They are limited. They could be lower tier. It could be pretty top heavy with the, what you actually get paid out, but it's intriguing.
For sure. No, I think another thing too, and I pulled up the majors section right here too, right? Both common and limited cards, like you said, 40% scoring bonus on the limited cards. People who have never played in limited, rare, super rare are all eligible for this. So a way to kind of ease people into it. Another thing too is even if you're playing in the minors, there will be limited cards as rewards too. So one of the things that people like most about Sorare NBA is that, you can win the paid card, the paid card tiers limited with just playing a free competition, right? So people are able to kind of if you're good enough and you have that roster and you do your research and get lucky a little bit, right? It's obviously hard to win, but you can really get some stuff and even sell it on the marketplace, right? Kind of cash in from free competitions a little bit as you get into things. So that's super fun. I will say this too, when it comes to switching out people, right? So say, there's a lot of strategy that goes along with it. They do a really good job of making even trades. So say, for example, you want to switch out, I'm doing it in basketball right now. I'm trying to get a Jason Tatum common, right? So I'm trying to trade in Damian Lillard and whatever. But if you trade in a top end guy, the options that they're going to give you back are top end guys. You can always bail on it. You don't have to make the trade. It's not unless you hit confirm, you're not locked in. You can kind of test the waters a little bit. But before they stopped the trading on the Sorare MLB, once they made the announcement that the common tier cards aren't going to move forward into this season, I had traded in, Vladdy, and this actually, this was right after the announcement. So I actually knew that they weren't going to be any good. But what I did was I still traded in Vladdy and I picked up Jordan because I was like, oh, it was cool. He won the World Series this year, So if they do stay in the collection and if there's a World Series type of thing going on, that's the World Series year Jordan, and he was insane. So did that, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this AMA to come on Tuesday. We'll report back next week. If you guys have any other questions, any thoughts, feel free to jump in. I know Greg wanted to talk about how they can really coexist, and we got a couple more minutes before we wrap it up, but I can even let you end it on that,
Sure. I mean, I'm dead silent on Sorare because I truly have so much to learn. And I made the mistake of joining Sorare and treating it like candy or Top Shot and buying like a jersey number cereal of Nelson Cruz, thinking like I just got a jersey number and that matters not. So I'm excited to learn more about it. But I think like from what I'm hearing, the fact that they've done away with commons and just wiped them from your collection.
Yeah.
And shout out to Borland who spent all last season swapping, which I was also doing. I
did the same.
Yeah, like building the roster a little bit better. I had a Soto. But the fact that they did that, I think, proves that Sorare and Candy can coexist, because clearly you're not here for your collectibles on Sorare, and they've made that abundantly clear with that move.
Yeah,
which I think is great. I think that means that, you know, you are here to play and win, and it's fully gamified, versus Candy, which you are there to collect, and you have options to, you know, have gamified moments if you want. So I like the idea that they're putting their flag in the ground, and that to me means that both Candy and Sorare can coexist.
For sure. And Sorare has always kind of left the door open as a collectible, right? They have the numbers, the jersey numbers highlighted. They have the number ones highlighted, but every single person that I've talked to, including the biggest guy, he was actually on the channel for an interview, John Nellis, kind of just talked about the mindset coming from Sorare, and he's pretty well tapped in over there, that of course it could be a collectible, you know, 20 years down the line. Everyone's hoping that Sorare is so, you know, like continues to do as well as it has so far. You know, who wouldn't want a year one Mike Trout, right? You know, like who wouldn't want a year one Ohtani, or a jersey number Acuna, or something cool and collectible? It's still an NFT. It still can be traded. You know, but the focus and the forefront of it is really on the utility in the game, which I said, I'm like so excited for you guys to get into it, because this gameplay is so much fun. I think you guys are going to really enjoy how much of a blast it is. Like, it's been so much fun on NBA. I'm not a soccer guy. You know, the little experience that I do have on Sorare MLB last year, it was fun too, but I think it's going to be just way more fun this year because of the free gameplay that comes along with it. So
totally.
Yeah. I mean, just having quick 2 cents here, but just having tapped into the Sorare market over the last few weeks and beginning my own journey as, you know, adding to my collection and jumping into what will be my first season playing competitions. Like Greg said, it is an entirely different product from Candy. I don't have the same mindset whatsoever when it comes to the cards that I'm buying. I don't care if I like a guy or not. I care if I like his value. Yep. And that is something that I've solidified a process for with fantasy football and fantasy baseball over the last 20 years. And it's a scenario where you want to buy low and sell high. So if I grab that Kyle Tucker for $45 and a month from now he's worth 90, I won't think twice about selling him and moving into some guys that are underperforming that I think are going to bounce back. And the ability to play that game within Sorare is really exciting, especially when you add in the element of this beautifully simplified structure with the game weeks and the simplified rosters. It's just, you know, haven't played it yet, so we'll see. But to me, it looks like a really appealing format for a take on fantasy sports.
It's so slick too when it comes, like you said. Another thing that goes right along with what you said is the trading mechanism on the platform is so easy. I mean, like, you can put 2 cards for 1 card. The only thing that you can't do yet is trade NBA for MLB. That would be super cool. But if you wanted to trade like a card that's worth $1 and throw in like a $4 worth of ETH or something like that to kind of sweeten a deal and make that trade, you can do both combinations there. You can throw in 3 cards for 1. You can trade limiteds for rares, limiteds for super rares, add ETH, whatever it may be. You know, like, it is just so easy and smooth to do going in there. And I think that's a really fun part about it too.
That's awesome. I'm excited. Great. I'm excited to jump in.
Cool. Should we sign off, guys?
I think we're going to have one. Go for it. I was gonna say,
one last.
Already loaded the bases here.
Are you serious? Oh, we got to go. One last question. Candy jersey burn is tomorrow. What are you burning? What teams are you burning for?
I'm for sure burning a Sox, you know, grabbing a Devers, rolling the dice on the jersey cereal, try and get a 1 or something like that. I've got 3 other jerseys and I still don't know what I'm going to do with them. So I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. I have 2. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah. I was going to let you bring it home since you asked the question.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious what you guys are going to do too. Like I have 3 of them, and I just don't know. I'm still TBD. So I was going to pick your guys' brains on it. I'm definitely going to burn a Crawford. He's my favorite baseball player. Like as a Giants fan growing up, my current favorite MLB player on my own team. So I'm glad they went with him. I'll be burning one of those. And then TBD on the other 2. I could either go. I was thinking of maybe going like one like Judge or Acuna, and then saving one and burning it for a player that I could probably flip for somebody that's doing the Shohei challenge, because I definitely won't be doing that. But that's kind of my current thoughts as it stands. What do you think, Greg?
I only have 2. So far. Maybe I'll scoop another before the burn, but gotta get a Devers, obviously. And then I just want a young guy. I want a young, exciting guy. So I'm torn between O'Neal Cruz or Wander Franco. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing to think about, and who knows, but does this have utility in the future? Is the team or the player going to matter in a challenge in this game? Like, or does it unlock special access to the team packs? Yep. I mean, maybe that's actually exactly it, but who knows? So taking all that in consideration, I might have to scoop a third. Just
one thing I'll say, do something with your jerseys, because this is going to be it.
Yes.
Burn them. If you want to hold on to one because you like it, cool, but don't expect future utility. This is it's an assumption, but this is something Candy wants to put behind them. Burn, don't expect anything more.
Yeah. And don't even hold on to it. People are saying it might. No, there's 31,000 jerseys. You know how many of those accounts don't even know that the burn is on? They're going to be like under 1,000 burned, I would guess.
Either sell it or burn it.
Under 1,000 is what's the over under number?
Ooh, I'm putting it higher than 1,000.
Me too.
What do you think? Like
10,000.
10,000?
That's my guess.
I'll go under on that. I think
under 10,000 for sure.
There's 30. The full total mint count is 38,000.
38,000. Oh wow. Okay. I think
how many current active users? Like how many people queue up for a pack? Let's call it 500. 500-600.
I would say most all of them own multiples.
Yeah, right.
I'm going under
10.
Here, let me set a better over under 8,500.
I'm going under.
Still going under.
I'll take the over.
All right, we'll find out next week.
All right. Well, then signing off the first week with all of us. Big shout out to Greg. His first episode was a blast having all 3 of us on here. Shout out to Nate for this sweet background that we got right here. Find us here every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Guys, enjoy the rest of the World Baseball Classic. Enjoy March Madness, whatever you're doing. We got big news from Candy, Sorare, and MLB stuff coming up this week. We'll see you next weekend.
See ya.
Go USA.